Got a couple.
Good afternoon, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First Revenue with Zach Hussion. How's it going, Zach?
It's going great, man. We're gonna do some fun portal stuff today.
We are. And I don't know if there is a property that I could get more excited about that we are about to clean up. This is like dreams coming true today.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the industry property.
Yeah.
Because to the surprise of no one, companies like to report on revenue often by industries or verticals or target markets or whatever you want to call it. That's part of the problem that we're going to address today is that you often show up with like 5 properties, especially if there's multiple business units involved. But why is this such a problematic property, Zach?
All right, let's do a little history lesson. So one of the major selling points for a lot of folks was that HubSpot gave you free enrichment data. Industry was one of those. And it, for years did, I think, an okay job, right? And then they went through the Clearbit acquisition. Their database got, a lot stronger. And then they rolled out, enrichment capabilities, and was not met with a whole lot of enthusiasm when people found out that you were now going to have to pay for enriching things like company industries. Like, hey, we used to get this for free. Actually, then they took it away, and then they gave it back, and then they charged you for it. Now it's free again. So it's a great opportunity for folks to leverage that because it, helps them do some segmentation like you were talking about. So I just got off a call literally 5 minutes ago with a client, and we were going through the enrichment settings, and he's like, you mean my team doesn't have to fill in all these, and we don't have to go try to enrich it with a different database, and that's only good for a day, and then it's outdated tomorrow. I could hear the excitement in his voice because it was like, this is going to solve a whole bunch of real business challenges for us from a reporting standpoint. Like, I want to look at all my companies by industry. I want to look at all my revenue by industry. I want to look at all my open deals by industry. I want to look at I just want to look at industry, everything I can do, right? And for him, the out of the box kind of data enrichment that HubSpot provided was fine, right? It was just the ability to get that was like a huge step for him. Now I have this other client, and they've known that they have kind of access to data enrichment. We're just starting to turn some things on from them. They're like, we don't like these industries. They're like, these industries that HubSpot provides, first of all, there's like 50 of them, or more. There's a lot of them. And they give you the property called industry and an industry group. And the industry group is kind of like the industries roll up into the industry groups. And they're like, well, in our world, right? Like, we don't go after what's a good one? Biotech kind of company. We don't go after biotechnology. We go after med tech. And so it's like, well, they're two different things. I guess, like biotech maybe falls under med tech, kind of, right? Maybe not. I don't really know. The point
Medical
is that
devices, some
right,
might call it.
Yeah, sure. But like the square peg didn't fit into the round hole. And it was just that, the team was like, well, we don't really know what these things mean. It was also pretty eye-opening because they're like, we don't do business with any of these industries. And I was like, well, yeah, you kind of do. And then the other part of me was like, yeah, you also have probably, 50,000 companies in here that you just don't need because it's like a lot of junk over the years.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, what can we do to make these industries match, like what our definitions of our industries. And before we had Data Agent, the solution to this was, either some kind of a, integration with some other database that would do some enrichment, or we would like kind of have to write like a really complicated workflow that would just say, like, not really complicated, but it would be a big pain in the ass to write a workflow that would say, if it's this industry, this industry, this industry, this industry, this industry, then turn it into this, client defined industry. And that's great until like HubSpot adds a new industry or something, or until you change your definition. So, okay, that was the old way that you could do it. Now we have Data Agent. And so the solution that we want to kind of go through today, and I want to show you guys that I set up, it's kind of relatively simple, but the outcome had some pretty big impacts. We were going to leverage Data Agent to go look up a company's domain, research the company, and then decide which of these four, client-defined industries should this company really fit into based on what you can tell from their website and anything else. And if it doesn't fit into one of those, then just put it into the other bucket. Now, I haven't done a ton of testing on this. Like, we haven't rolled it out yet. But I was just like, well, I don't know if there's a great solution for this, guys, like without having to do this workflow thing. And I was like, oh shit, that's right. We have our friend Data Agent now that we can use. So I wanted to kind of show you kind of what I did to set that up, and didn't know if there's anything else that, any other commentary you wanted to add there, Chris, before I try to
I'll try to keep it short as you pull it up. But this is like one of those things where I push like hell to, like, if you can't even tell me how this is going to work manually, like, of course we can't automate this, especially when you start pulling all these various data sources. There's two things that are usually not under your control as the business leader. And then there's a third thing that is under your control that makes it worse, right? So the data sources, like the fact that LinkedIn has an industry list and HubSpot and these various data sources find different ways to classify the exact same industry, to the point where I've seen some of the most ridiculous spreadsheets of like NAICS codes that are like 3 levels deep, and just like that, because that's what you got to do if you're trying to automate this in a way that actually like is based on real data. Like you have to go down to that layer, because that system is based on, like, med tech and med devices are probably 2 different classifications, like inside of the same space, is one thing. But then you have how companies refer to themselves, right?
Sure.
On LinkedIn, when I first started to understand this, it was in 2018, 2019, I started serving scrap yards as a part of the metals like ecosystem, right? Some of them called themselves like recycling, some were in construction, some were in like environmental. Like,
first of all, I didn't realize, but we both kind of lived in that world for a little while.
Yeah.
I lived in the electronics recycling world for years. And but like, everybody called them different things. It's kind of like when you get a new client, it's like, all right, well, let's understand the definitions, right? We need to kind of standardize those. What do you call things? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the third layer, which is the under your control part that you screw up, is at the biggest company I worked for, which was a global company. Right. It's just like, oh, we're gonna focus on, like, on all of our reporting, we call it pharma. Right. So we want to see pharma. Well, guess what? That's not an option in our industries. So then what do? We create a target market property and then put our specific target markets in there. That starts going down the road for salespeople. Like, all right, screw this. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know
I'm gonna
which one
pick.
to
Yeah, I don't know
choose
what.
and
Yeah,
when.
this one's close
And,
enough, or
right.
it's the first one on the list. And what do you mean? You want me to pick the industry? It's like, what I'm supposed to be selling over here. It's just one of 1,000, administrative drop downs that we're trying to remove from the salesperson's day to day, so they can go focus on, being strategic and adding value.
Yeah.
Right.
And it is, as we pull it up, it is complex enough to be like, there was not a good solve for this until now, where AI can look at all the things
Mm-hmm.
and even there do its best to keep it up to date, right? That's why I'm excited about this. This is truly a problematic property in the way that everybody involved in the situation can see the exact same company and call it 3 different ways and be correct.
Right. Yes.
Depending on the scenario,
Yeah.
right? It's like DBAs, like, oh yeah, that's like, how do you market yourself? Oh, how do you pay taxes? Oh, there's a strategy there. So over here we call ourselves, right? Like, that's just the name of the game. And if you're trying to track that in a CRM, like, it's challenging, right? So you have to, now that we have access to AI that can always be paying attention, right? It's possible. It's possible to nail this down finally.
I like it. I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready to get out the hammer here and start nailing.
We are looking at no smart properties on the screen.
Yeah. So no smart properties right now. To get to them, you go to data management and you go to your data agent, and then you're going to go into manage here. So before you create the smart property, you actually need to have a real property in HubSpot to make smart. So like we talked about today, the goal is to come up with a set of, we'll call it just 4 industries that'll be relevant to, we'll use, Hush RevOps as the example. So for me, it's like I'm mainly focused on, industrial manufacturing, maybe industrial distribution, engineering and technical services, private equity companies. We could probably spend a lot more time coming up with other relevant industries, but and I would, but this is just what ChatGPT spit out for me real quick, so I don't have to waste a lot of time on it. So we're going to go and I have another tab here just for our properties. So we're going to create a new company property here. And we're going to call this property. And you could do this like, it doesn't have to be for industry. You could also say like, I'm going to use data agent to like go look to say, can you find some very specific information on their website and give me kind of like a go, no go, right? It's like, if I sell to industrial distributors, do they sell, products for these types of OEMs? If so, then like say, yep, that's in your target kind of a deal. So we'll call this one Hush industry, company information, field type. We'll do a drop down. And here we're going to do, let's see, what did they come up with? It was industrial manufacturing. And we had we're just going to do 3 actually. And then we'll do private equity. All right. And we'll hit create. Okay. So now I have my property created. We're going to go ahead and create a smart property. And it's still a little clunky here. I wish I could just kind of skip over this prompt to create the property. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I tend to find that you just kind of put something in here and then you're going to have to modify it. Maybe my prompting just needs to get a little better here. So it's like, I need a property named Hush Industry. And it should be a drop down with 3 options. Industrial manufacturing, industrial, distribution, and private equity. Let's see what that does. I'm sure there are some better ways to do that. Okay, so it's
multiple,
like great.
multiple ways.
It got me to where I wanted to go right real quick, which is just I want to. Oh, did I already create one? Oh, cool! I already have Hussion
So
Industry.
I think it's called. It's wanting to. It's found the one that you just made, right?
I thought you had to create the property first, but maybe it's creating the one. So we'll just call Hussion Industry 2. There you go. So maybe that was an unnecessary step was with creating the property first. It'll just create the smart property for you. So I'll stand corrected on that, creating the actual property first. I think it just does it for you. I thought I had to do that once before, but this is what you get for doing these things live. Okay, so now I want to make
the first time
data.
I've been through it, so
Have you?
it's good to see. I've seen like create a smart property buttons like all over the place.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
So we also want to review like it's object type is company. Here's the label, and then here are the drop down options. Okay. So we want to make this a smart property with a data agent prompt. So we need to edit that prompt here. And we can choose, do we want this to have access to like web research? Do we want to pull company from the, or information from the company's domain? Or do we actually want to use like property data in HubSpot for this? So, I think go between these two right here. I think company website probably makes the most sense for this one since we're going to be like looking at their domain. And then comes to the prompt here. So this is, so we're going to say research the company's website and determine what Hush industry, we'll call it 2, they belong to. Okay, and then what I did in chat is I just quickly gave some definitions of like, well, what are these, right? So here's, I'll take this one out of here. So these are kind of like, giving it some context to say like, if they fit in these molds, then they should probably fit in those categories. I think I could probably do a little bit better job with those definitions, but it'll be good enough for right now. And then you could also like do things where you say, okay, you could say like examples, and you could say like industrial manufacturing, and you could put in a company like Calvary Robotics, let's call it, right? And you could do like engineering and technical services, and you could say like Simu Tech, and then we could do like private equity and portfolio, and we can call that OXO investors. Okay, and now you can preview it here. So if I wanted to look at like Calvary Robotics, for example, it should give me a preview there. Industrial manufacturing. And if I was to do OXO, it should come up as private equity. This is always the part where you get nervous,
Well, it's a good test because it's supposedly only based on the web research and not based on the CRM.
And then technically, SemuTech should be engineering and technical services because that's basically what they do. Now, you could also like add into a prompt here where it's like, you could say like, other, and then you could say like anyone who doesn't kind of fit into these. any other company that doesn't fit into the defined okay, and then we'll probably have to also update our smart property to include an other here.
Yep. Why don't you go ahead and change
Oops,
option number 2 to engineering and technical services.
Oh shit, I just lose all that. No. Ah, good. Okay.
Wow.
That would have sucked.
Oh, the beauty
Right?
of modern
All right. So
HubSpot.
what do you want me to do?
So
Yeah.
through the
you want me
course
to
of watching you
change
type,
the
yeah, so engineering and technical services, I think, is your intended second option. And when you're filling out the property, you called it something else.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah. So that's where it's like,
when I did the actual prop for the drop down, you're saying? Yeah. This is where now you actually have to go into the property to edit it, I think.
Right.
So now I'll just do a quick refresh on this one. HubSpot's been crawling. Every time I've been sharing my video, it's been so slow. Hush. Yeah, I did have a Hush industry. Maybe I did this before.
Yeah. So industrial distribution needs to change to engineering and technical services.
Yeah, that one was. Yep, good catch. Oh, of course.
And like one of the hacks that I like to employ in these situations is to like screenshot the hell out of what I'm doing in HubSpot, give all those screenshots to the AI friend of choice and say, this is what I want to happen. Help me fill all this stuff out.
Yeah.
It works amazingly well.
Okay, so we should be set up now. So if I go into my companies, okay, so now if we add a new column, pay no attention to my messy portal.
None paid.
Come on.
This is where like, so you could see smart property was grayed out there, like in the column.
Add column. You have to add the column. So it has to be a smart property for that smart property to be not grayed out. Oh, actually, no, you can't set up the smart property from there. Sorry, which is
well, that's what was great. So I'm guessing it's like a permissioning thing, which is this is why it's interesting to do these things from different places.
I mean, it's my own portal, so
right.
Yeah. So now it's like if we go to, so like for example, let's look at Visimax, and now we can go ahead and fill smart property, and we have the option to either. So you'll have all the different properties that you've created to select, and then you can either fill empty and override existing. And I know it's going to be empty because I just created that. So, and it does use credits. So I think it's, I can't remember now what it was. Is it 10 credits for a smart property possibly?
Yep.
Yeah. So 10 credits to do the smart, property for one record. There we go. Industrial manufacturing. Okay. Now if I was to do something like, let's find somebody who's like totally not Love and Cup. Okay, this is a restaurant that I had contacted to do an event at. Oops, same thing with Strange Bird, or brewery. That's actually where my hug is, and next week at Strange Bird. Come get some free beer. Let's go ahead and fill the smart property on that one. Yes, thank you HubSpot for sponsoring the event. Now this one should show us other, right?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, that means that like the prompt just needs to probably be tweaked a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can do in 45 minutes.
Yeah. There's the other.
Oh, look at that. Other. All right. So, I mean, just from those two alone, I think that, it's probably working pretty well. So you could see how you could, come up with your own industry definitions, create your own smart property, and then have HubSpot go and start filling it all in. And then if you were to kind of compare that to, if I was to add, like, these are the standard industry and industry group from HubSpot, assuming that I've enriched these, which I'm pretty sure. Oh, maybe I didn't.
Yeah. And they've recently added in like
industry.
markets. So that they never make it easy on us, do they?
I don't think I know about markets. Is that just like another enrichment data point?
It relates to like buyer intent and the intent data. So that another level of enrichment, bringing data in. I mean, this is where I'm having some success is the concept of unified customer view and getting the team, especially leadership, to embrace that as an outcome that is 100% under your control as a business. And it's either true or it's not, right? And if you can look at a record and it's either yes, we can see everything we're supposed to see and we trust it and it makes sense, or it's no. And then we start to get down to like why. And if you can align there, now you start to enable your team because like there's places right on the record where you can set up smart properties. And if you got a like a solid sales team of 5 and there's like a new product initiative happening, a new product launch, and everybody's getting the same kind of feedback coming in through forums or wherever, and anybody can just go, look, I've seen this 10 times now. I'm going to take a swing at this smart property and see if we can, like, I'm tired of changing this every time. And let's see what we can do so it's useful for me, right? And that could be at the time of like, I've just seen 10 form fills and the way that everybody talks about it is a little bit different, but I can see this word and this word and this word, and that's going to always equal this thing. Or it's, all right, I just had my 5th conversation where they said this thing in the form and they actually meant this, the way that we talk about it is like this. So let me let me just hit this smart property button real quick. And now it's fixed for the whole team. Right.
It's almost like doing data transformation in a database, right? It's like, well, it's kind of in this format over here, but we can transform it over here and kind of translate it to what it should look like in this other database. It's like HubSpot's doing the same thing. It's like, well, it came in this way, and like your brain's going to look at it and based off of the training that you've received, you're going to now put it into your own kind of like company language and definitions and this and that. But it's like, why even worry? We'll do it for you, right?
Yeah. And the reason that this, I feel like, has a better chance of working for data maintenance than ever before is it's in process. Like it should be in process, right? This is where when either index view or your record view is on point. And I'm going to share my screen just to like hammer this.
The only other thing that I wanted to point out here too, real quick, is that like if you look at the Hush Industry 2, other and industrial manufacturing, HubSpot actually didn't even pick up the industry after it was enriched. So there were blanks. So you would have had no data there.
Yeah.
And then what happens when that company changes their business model down the road? Now maybe they're doing, maybe they've reinvented themselves. They're doing something kind of completely different, or there's merger or acquisition, those kind of things. I mean, I'm willing to bet that AI going and doing a scan of their website and their domain and looking for updates of things that have happened is going to be a lot more accurate and real time than any other database that's trying to do the same thing at a massive scale.
Yeah.
Now, I would maybe argue that companies like HubSpot, ZoomInfo, like, they're all, they all have AI capabilities that they can tap into. So it's like, maybe they'll solve these problems a little bit better. But even if they get a little bit better with defining these like this, we'll just use industry again as that example, it's still never going to give you that level of control to what we just did.
Yeah. And like, again, when we come back to these unified views ideas, like the magic of HubSpot is bringing this context together so you can make in the moment decisions when you need to make them, because that's when you're most passionate about it. You have like all the context is fresh, and the farther you get away from that call, when you wait until the Monday afternoon sales meeting, it's like, oh yeah, I think there was something. Let's ask AI to look at the whole damn transcript, and it will fix. Like, that's not that good yet. It's getting there, but like when you can jump off a call, AI is going to do the transcript thing, but then you're going to be like, yeah, this word specifically. Like, you can focus AI on context like that because you're looking at a screen like this where this is the company record. Click on intelligence, and we've got create a smart property right here. We've got real-time intent signals and all of this. Because like I'm sure everybody's like scared shitless at the idea of a salesperson creating smart properties whenever they want, and they can't
Yeah,
shut this
no, it's
off
like lock
fast
that
enough,
permission down like right
right?
now. Yeah.
Unless you have a team that is just working on all cylinders, everybody's aligned to the mission, they know how this stuff works, and they
Yeah.
know
Yes.
what it means to clean this up, especially when you know that the thing that's happening, like you watch it real time, like, oh man, I just had my 5th call. We've got to get our messaging right. But the old way would be like, okay, let me take some notes. Let me take it to the next like weekly, monthly meeting, and then we'll figure it out. And it's like, no, here's what I want to do because I know everybody's dealing with this problem. I'm going to hit this button right now and do it for like the 5 conversations that we've had, like 50 credits, like prove it. The proof of concepting you can do with this stuff, the experimentation, like that's where the
I
agility
think
comes from.
that's the key is like, enable the team to go play in the sandbox, right? Like, it's like, hey, we have this capability. Not everyone's going to use it. Not everybody is probably educated enough on how to do some of these things, and they don't have the experience to do it. But you'll find that, you'll have a couple of people on the sales team who like have a knack for this kind of stuff. Let them go play with it. Now, I wouldn't say like, let them go roll it out. Right. I mean, you need to like make sure that everybody understands like what is this property, and that you don't have the other salesperson working on the same thing, with a very similarly named property. But yeah, it's all about like, you have tools, teach people how to use them, and like you'll be amazed at like the data that they start looking at through their own lenses and to solve their own challenges. And because everyone's trying to figure out, how do we make life easier? How do we do this faster? How do we do this more efficiently? And if you just have one person at the top saying, this is what you're all going to do to be better, it's like you're missing out on a whole lot right there. Because like the team will come to you and say like, I do this every day. I can tell you where the inefficiencies are. I just came up with a really cool idea to fix this.
Yeah.
Right.
And we get like so busy and we're going to events. Like I've seen this happen real time. Not like usually I have to be the guy to call it out. Like, oh, I talked to Zach and I talked to Bill and I talked to this person. They all said the same thing. Now we're all in a meeting together a week later. Sorry, I couldn't do all the coordination to get everybody together faster, but schedules and blah, blah, blah. Right now, we're going to make a really fast, common sense decision in that meeting. But because it was all humans coordinating and nobody was allowed to, do some things, right? We have to wait until that moment. And it's like, if you've ever heard a person say, oh yeah, I've been meaning to get with you on that last 3 calls I've had. So like went like this. So watch out for this. And meanwhile, I'm like, oh, I've already had 5 calls and I didn't know how to deal with that. And we lost those deals. And it's like, right? This is where agility and speed, when we talk about that being such a competitive advantage now.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Like, can we put our best people in a position to just make really high value decisions like quickly?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cause it's like, you can talk about some of these challenges for weeks and months and sometimes years before they even, before they get, before they're solved, or before maybe sometimes you even sit down in the same room and start addressing them. And then it used to take a lot more effort to try to make something like this happen, right? So we'll use that same industry thing again. You'd have to say, well, we need to get everybody's consensus on what the industry should be and what the definitions of those are and what the examples are that we can give. And then, we need to kind of create all these, complex workflows and do all this stuff. We need all these approval levels. But it's like, if you just sat in a conference room and you had all the decision makers there and they were empowered to go do it, and you had the right technology sitting there in the room with you, and it's like, I could take a company that had like zero ability to segment their contacts and companies in HubSpot, and get them to the point where it's like, you can now see like all these data points and all of your contacts, all of your companies, all of your salespeople are enabled with this information. It's like, you can get that done in an hour or two if you come prepared and you have the right people who can say yes. That's where these things slow down all the time. It's like the person you're on the phone with is like, I think this is a really good idea, but I got to talk to my boss and my boss's boss. And now we have to kind of translate the value of what we just talked about up to them. And then we usually lose it in the game of telephone. And now it comes, and like you go back and forth 20 times before somebody finally says, yeah, we should do that. It's like, that's what I've been saying for the last 3 months, is that we should be doing this,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they just lost all these opportunities.
Right. And hopefully the window's still open. I'm not having those conversations anymore, but I guess I'll be ready for the next person, because they've been disqualified because we haven't been able to solve it. Right.
Another cool smart property that I was playing around with was, instead of like leveraging the company's website to like do some research, it was more so like, let's leverage our internal CRM data. And so if you're like, let's say that you were a marketing team and you're trying to develop content, and that content should be all about being helpful. And how do you be helpful? Well, you help people solve their pains and their challenges. So imagine that you have all of your conversations, all of your phone calls, all of your emails, all of your meetings, right? Think about all the discovery calls and lead qualification calls and all these calls where you're trying to before you sold them, you're trying to understand, what kind of pain are you suffering from and can we help you solve it, right? Or what goals do you have and can we help you accomplish those? And now you use a smart property to dig through those records and just list out all of the major pain points and challenges and goals that these people are talking about. And you do that over the course of 6 months or a year, and you have thousands of data points now. It's like marketing can go create a whole bunch of content to go speak to those. And let's say that those things change over time, right? Like this year, this is the main problem. Next year, it's a different problem. Some industries, it varies widely. I mean, look at supply chain, for an example, right?
Yeah.
And now you can say, well, these properties are just going to continuously be updating and giving us this moving target of like, well, what are people like? What are the pains and goals, and how are they changing over time?
Yeah.
So, and there's like unlimited opportunities to go start doing stuff like this.
Right. And that's the marketing side of the equation. And this is where like the power of doing this live with leaders, there is nothing like it, because you can be there to like kind of spoon feed it, right? Because what we're saying is using AI to create properties in our CRM and sales guys. Oh no, right? Like we can't even fathom that, right? But look at this template here, right? Previous issue resolution. What was the resolution to previous issue ticket ID? And if I use this prompt, right, already ready, right? And I just create and view, fill options, right? Fill this smart property for all records in a CRM view. Let's say segment.
Maybe like don't fill anything, auto do it on the next screen.
Yeah, I don't have any
because you'll have to do like a segment.
Yep.
So you do have to do like a workflow or
on a schedule. Just
This is a little different than how we had set it up the other one. It's still some of the stuff's still in
say
beta, but
weekly,
it's interesting how it's like two different kind
Monday.
of totally different experiences setting this up in HubSpot.
Yeah. I mean, this is why you give us a call so that we have figured
Yeah.
out the 10 different ways you could do it.
And then we'll give you the best one.
Right. For your business. And so set up autofill, right? This question, like I'm pretty sure every sales guy, every salesperson I've ever interacted with, if there's a possibility for tickets, like help desk style tickets, before they reach out to any customer, they want to know the answer to this question. And how do they usually get it? By calling the help desk or
Yes.
somebody else on the
Or
other
going
side
into
of the
another
fence.
system, going and doing a bunch of research, scrolling, clicking,
Right.
clicking.
And this is how you get to the point where they don't want to see a whole mess of tickets over here. You might not want them to see it because they're going to be in your shit every day if you let them see it. So it's got to be walled off. Now it can be walled off and they can get the exact answer to that question right in front of them. And these are the points of opportunity that you have to pick if you want to start leveraging these things, because I guarantee I just activated that. And if we do it for like 5 companies, 50 credits, right? I guarantee, since it's a new property and doing it in this way, there's zero chance it will impact the rest of the system at all. But now you'll be able to see in real time, like, is this a valuable thing? If it's not, okay, we'll turn it off.
That's exactly how things went down with my client call last week. Again, on the industry example, we're like, I'm like, hey, after the call, I thought about it. I just came up with this way to do this thing. And it's like they have, I think they have their, 3,000 credits or whatever. They're not using any of them. What do you care if I use up 1,000 of them or 50 of them or 100, whatever it is, to do a little testing to show you that this thing works? Because now you're like, great, it works. Turn it on, right? And the challenge though too then is like, okay, well, do we want to turn this on for every company or every no, because then your credits are going to be gone and you maybe captured 2% of your database. So now the next step is, okay, who are we going to kind of apply this to?
Yeah.
And why?
And that it just
and
gets
then use
us
a workflow to do it.
right. It just gets us into this practical part of the conversation, like no longer theoretical.
Yep.
Because the first question is like, oh, it'd be nice if we could do this, but it sounds super complex. So let's like schedule a call with Zach and we'll make out a plan. And it's like, yeah, Zach's willing to do that. But when you're in it and you can do it in the moment, you can know. And then, okay, this is not going to work for us. We don't need to use hours with Zach or call IT or like ask the other, service leader to get involved, right?
Yeah.
You can have this just very quick, like very high impact. Like no joke. Like that might be the number one question that a salesperson is asking and you could solve it, right?
Yeah.
And because here's what happens, right? If there's lots of problems, salespeople they will just not ask the question because they don't want to bother the other person, or the person they're used to talking to isn't there that day.
Or they've been trained that every time they ask, they just get a, kind of like, too bad. Like it's not a priority.
Right.
This isn't important. Figure it out.
And
Stop complaining.
This is what unified customer view looks like. If you have that as the mantra, right? The next level is understanding, okay, how can we do that? Right? We could put all the tickets in front of a salesperson and make them go through it, or we can use this smart property now.
Yeah. Or even just Breeze, like, you have, like, you can create in this, topic for another day, Breeze assistants, right? We're leveraging them to train employees so that they have their own assistant about their internal, like, company stuff. What's our policy on this, when it's, for discounts, or using Breeze Assistant to just ask those same kind of questions. What was the latest issue that we had with this client and what was the resolution? Obviously that's more a little more manual. You have to kind of still do, but like, if you know this is a question that you need answers to and it's valuable every time, then make it a smart property, and it's always there.
Yeah. And once we can align that it's possible and that it's an option, right? Now we don't have to keep asking questions about that. And we can actually get to the next step, which is adoption.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, how do we get you to stop calling Zach? Because this property is right here. Like, where does it
Right.
need to be when you're in that part of when you're about to reach out to somebody?
Yep.
Where does this need to show up? Just tell us
Yeah.
where, we'll put it there. Right.
Yeah.
But then now you're accountable to say, okay, I'm going to see it there. I'm going to trust it. If I don't, like, I get like one or two tries to call somebody. And if they say, yep, that's what happened. Like, no, I don't just get to not trust it and not use
Right.
it. Like, we have to understand how much, like, the time and stress that something like this can save is immeasurable at the end of the day. Right.
And I feel like if you could measure it like easily, like some of these things, that you'd see a lot more business leaders jumping to doing these things. It's like
Yeah.
we have all this anecdotal evidence about friction internally, and people just like being miserable with the tools and the tool sets that they have and the process that they have. And it's like, you're telling me that if everybody walked in, they're like, yeah, we have a pretty smooth process. I can, get to everything I need. It's like, like that's not going to turn into happier employees that you can retain longer, because shit, that's expensive to try to replace that churn all the time. And then what do you think happens when you have happier employees? Like, you got happier customers, you're going to have better outcomes. I mean, everything just kind of snowballs from there in a good way. That wheel starts turning. So
Yeah. Well, this is awesome.
it's also, I think, really important too. It's like, you have a lot of this information that the team had. A lot of times, like, it's there. It's just you have to go find it and then get it into the right format, and so you got to be a little purposeful with like going and finding and if you don't have it, it's like you should be creating it, whether or not you're using a smart property or not. It's like you should have like a sales playbook, that not even a HubSpot playbook, just a playbook, a battle card, something that shows you like what industries you target and your value prop and your ICP and your buyer personas and all that kind of stuff. But what was really great with this one client is like they had a lot of that stuff ready to go. So it's like they sent me their deck that had a bunch of this stuff that they already put together. And I was able to just go create that smart property in a very short amount of time versus, now I have to, spend a whole phone call or maybe a couple of weeks, like waiting for the team to get back to me on all this information. So it's like, you should be doing this stuff anyways. And if you already have it, it's going to be that much faster to just start implementing these things.
Yeah. Leverage it, folks. You're paying for it.
Yeah.
If you have professional HubSpot, you got access to 3,000 credits, and I guarantee you're not using them.
We'll show you how.
And honestly, it's been a struggle. Like, I'm glad we had this conversation, because I've had several, shows where it's like, not necessarily so easy to spend 3,000 credits, like in an effective way, right? It's easy to go press the like, okay, 100 companies, buyer intent.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now what? Right.
I think that there's probably a lot of unused credits right now in the ecosystem. And I think, I'm seeing HubSpot, trying to put some effort behind promoting events and educating people about, AI and assistants. And, most people don't know how credits work still. How many, like, okay, I push this button. What does that mean? Like, am I going to use 1 credit, 2 credits, 10 credits, 100 credits?
All
and then
of
like,
them.
100 credits. What do you mean? I got to spend 100 credits on this conversation? And I'm like, well, the customer agent is worth 100 credits. It's got a 65% resolution rate on average right now. And it's like, how much are you paying an employee to answer that question? So it's like, 100 credits. But they didn't even know that. So I think this would be some fun stuff for us to continue to uncover more. I had a lot of fun poking around in the portal and building some stuff. So I think we should do some more of that.
Yeah. That's where this month is heading with almost all the shows. We're finally like getting in here and just building stuff, because there's CRM cards in the background that we're all discovering exist, and like it's just ready made for you folks, right? And that's why my mission in life right now is getting people to that point of asking for the unified customer view. Because if you don't ask for that, if you don't set that standard, Like you're not gonna go over and look for cards and like
Yeah. So
look
why?
for the
It's like,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
it's not important to you. It's not going to add any
So
value if you haven't done these other things first,
yeah. So it's been fun.
Yeah, man.
And I look forward to doing this again next week.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks,
To be
everybody.
continued.